What is up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Welcome to episode 11 of Speak Now Pro Wrestling with myself, Denise. It is the December 9th edition of my show, and we have lots to get into here today. So last week in wrestling was probably one of the biggest weeks that we've had in a very long time. On the AEW end, we had Winter is Coming, which we saw the return of Sting, which was by far the biggest news in wrestling. For everyone was talking about it. Every single podcast was talking about it. You name it, people were talking about it. We also had the reveal that Impact would be working with AEW Dynamite. That was huge. We also had Kenny Omega as new AEW World Champion, and that was just AEW alone. On the other end, we also had NXT Takeover WarGames, which was a killer night. 5 great matches on the card. So much to talk about on tonight's show. In terms of everything that happened last week, leading into this week was kind of a pretty interesting night because I wanted to see how AEW would follow up everything that they did last week and how NXT would follow up that NXT Takeover WarGame. So today was kind of an exciting show just because I wanted to see, again, how both of those shows would sort of, keep the momentum from the prior week. First of all, thank you guys so much to everyone who's coming into the stream right now. I'm seeing a lot of regular faces, a lot of new faces. For those of you who are new to the stream is very, very active. So make sure to send in your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, whatever you want to go ahead and send in from tonight's show. We are going to kick things off by talking about AEW, and then we're going to go into NXT afterwards. But also, I do want to let you all know that if you want to send in any super chats at all throughout any point of the show, you are more than welcome to. F4W allows me to keep 100% of the proceeds of the super chats right after YouTube takes a cut. So that is very nice of them, and it really helps me out. So if you want to get your comment or statement read on this stream, please feel free to also send it in the form of a super chat. But we are kicking things off with a super chat from Jobber JJ, who says, "Can't sleep, joining the stream. How was the show? What did you think of Impact yesterday?" I thought Impact put on a good show yesterday, and I was very excited to see their numbers just really go above and beyond. I decided to watch Impact last night on their Twitch channel instead of on Access TV because I kind of wanted to get a feel for what people were saying. And based on what I saw, the AEW fans and the Impact fans were definitely not getting along. There was definitely a conflict of interest and taste there. But nonetheless, it was pretty entertaining to see what people were saying. So I thought Impact was fine. I thought they did a great job at really hyping up the fact that Kenny Omega was going to be there with Don Callis, and they put on some great wrestling matches. And I thought they did a good job at trying to get people, interested in Impact Wrestling, because obviously this wasn't just a show. They were going to use the whole Kenny Omega thing to drive new fans, to try to, create this new form a new relationship with these new fans who maybe haven't watched Impact Wrestling in a very long time or haven't necessarily just watched recently. So I think that they were also trying to, convert some of those people into watching the Impact product. I also liked the ad that they did with Tony Khan, and Tony Schiavone. I thought that was pretty funny. So overall, I thought they did some pretty good stuff on there. And Gulashi says that Twitch chat last night was worthless. It was so wild, okay? So wild. El Yellow Chico says, shout out to Brian Alvarez. Yeah, seriously. I was so happy when he promoted. Well, he obviously promotes my show all the time, but today on the Twitch stream for Wrestling Observer Live was pretty funny, though. If you didn't watch the Twitch stream, it was a funny day because I essentially made Brian mad and he wanted to pick a bone with me. So that was pretty funny. We have a comment from Hackman who says, I always appreciate how Denise has a positive attitude instead of just dumping on the product like too many people seem to do. Oh man, Hackman, I did have a few things that I'm going to dump on today. So beware for that. Devon Griffin says, I feel like AEW is the best wrestling show. Ain't no other wrestling show better. Ooh, Devon Griffin, he is starting up some. He's going to start up the opinions here on this stream. By the way, everyone is allowed to have their opinion. If you think AEW is the best wrestling show there is, then by far, then hey, If that's what you think, that's what you think. We have a comment from Tunil who says, I watched last night, but I'll be honest, I likely won't watch Impact again unless I know there will be AEW involvement. See, that's very interesting for me because when obviously, you know, the ratings came out for Impact Wrestling and, you know, they did really good job in the key demographics, key demo demographics. My question is, can they obviously keep that momentum going? Impact Wrestling has had a lot of highs and lows where they've had a lot of buzzy moments and then a lot where the buzz just sort of dies down. So I don't know how many of these, you know, new AEW viewers are actually going to tune into Impact Wrestling unless there is something, like you said, AEW involved in the show. And there are still a lot of question marks as to the AEW Impact relationship that we still don't know about, and how much this involvement is really going to be like. So it is interesting for me to read comments like this because that is honestly what I really expected from people. And okay, so guys, send in your comments here. I'm going to go ahead and read what you guys thought about all of this, everything that happened on the show and so on as we go through. But let's kick it off with AEW Dynamite. So we had a lot of things happen today. Let's start off. We're going to go chronologically. And let's kick it off with the Young Bucks versus Angelico and Jack Evans. So there were a lot of people on Twitter sort of upset about this match, not necessarily because, oh, it was a bad match or anything, but I saw a lot of people complaining on Twitter about the rules for tag team wrestling and tag team matches on AEW. So I'm curious as to what you guys think about that. And if there's anybody here who sort of had those same issues like the ones I saw on Twitter. We do have a super chat from Dagon S. Broad. Thank you so much, Dagon, for sending in a super chat. He says, how awesome would a Team AEW versus Team Impact blood and guts match be? Also, Denise is the freaking best. Thank you so much for saying so. Honestly, there is so, and I don't look, I'm not a person that likes to fantasy book anything, but there are a lot of dream matches or like cool matchups, maybe not dream matches, but cool matchups that I would love to see on AEW that features AEW and Impact talent. And I think I even tweeted yesterday, like, hey man, like there's so much that they can do with somebody like Jungle Boy. If this was to turn into a full-fledged, relationship, I would love to see Jungle Boy work with so many people on the Impact roster, like Eric Young, Willie Mack, I mean, even TJP. I mean, there are so many different people, Chris Bay. And I think somebody like Jungle Boy would utilize from that, because one of the things that we have talked about AEW Dynamite is that there's a lot of people that necessarily aren't being focused each and every single week. And so sometimes they don't get to work as much as you would like them to. And I think one of those people, an example of that would be Jungle Boy. And I would love to see, this cross promotion deal with AEW and Impact involve some of that. I think that would be a pretty cool addition, and it would give a lot of their talent, more work. And that's personally just my opinion. Dagon S. Broad, thank you so much for the super chat. You are awesome. Austin NY says, Impact failed on their point on putting on a good noteworthy show on their end to make me want to watch Impact more. Did anybody else feel that way? Was there anybody here who hasn't watched Impact, isn't an Impact fan, but thought, hey, you know what? After what I saw from last night, I'm going to actually go out of my way and watch Impact? Because personally, I've always been an Impact Wrestling fan. I always get to talk to a lot of their talent and have been a fan for a very long time. But I do know that that's not necessarily, it's not always easy to convert people over to another promotion. Kevin Nash, Kevin Nash is cool in regards to people talking about the tag rules. He says, a bunch of geeks complaining about the rules. See, but you can't, okay. Ricky Dona says, what are the rules for tag team matches in AEW that are different from any other promotion? ? So a lot of people feel that their rules are necessarily, very obvious. We're seeing some major differences when you watch, tag team matches with the Young Bucks, when you watch tag team matches with FTR. And that's obviously part of the reason for that is that we see the Young Bucks work more of a lucha style match where they don't put a lot of, emphasis on, doing the tag and the tag rope and all of that. And then we have the reverse on the total other end of the spectrum, we have, FTR, who's essentially, considers themselves a throwback 80s tag team. They're the ones who are putting such a big emphasis, on the tag ropes and all of that stuff. So I think because we're seeing such two different things happen when you're seeing the Young Bucks in a tag team match and FTR in a tag team match, that people are starting to notice that the rules aren't the same throughout the AEW tag team division. So personally, that's where I think the issue arrives from. But in regards to this actual match, though, I love this match. And the reason for that is because this match is the Young Bucks versus Hybrid 2. This match is the kind of match that if you're there in a live audience, oh, you are going to pop for it so hard, because these are two teams that are incredibly athletic and go out and do all of these great fast-paced spots that, let's face it, a lot of people, love to mark out for. I'm one of those people. Call me guilty. I love to see that kind of action, that kind of in-ring action. And so I loved this match. But the second I went on Twitter, that was honestly one of the biggest things that I saw people complaining about. And for me, I think I've just learned to accept that when it comes to the Young Bucks matches, we're going to see them work it a little bit differently, follow different rules from what they normally do if you are watching an FTR match. So what are you all saying here? And okay, we have a comment from Haj Gulashi who says, that opener was a blast. I thought it was a great way to set an exciting tone for the night. I don't get overly critical on rules stuff, to be honest. I'd rather sit back and have fun. Yeah, and there's obviously different types of fans. There's fans that are kind of like, okay, I just want to, chill, watch a good show. And then there's fans that are like, this doesn't make sense. I find myself in the middle where there are certain things where I'm like, all right, you can't do that. That doesn't make sense. But then there's other parts of me where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lay back and, relax and watch the show. But I am a little bit more on the critical end because I kind of have to be for the show. And I don't have to be for the show, but I just feel like, part of, talking about wrestling is talking about, critiquing it as well. Like you would if you were critiquing like a TV or a film or anything like that, a TV show or a film. And okay, I'm going through your comments. Matthew Makovsky says, we have to congratulate Denise on getting that Renee Paquette interview, even though that was 2 days ago. Matthew, thank you so much for congratulating me. I still can't believe I'm getting my interview with Renee. That is actually scheduled to be happening tomorrow. So, I'm hoping to be dropping the interview with Renee on Friday. So please keep an eye out for that. For those of you who do not know, I shot my shot. I reached out to Renee on Twitter publicly and asked her if she wanted to do an interview with me. And to my surprise, she said yes. And she was really cool about it. And so we are going to have our interview tomorrow and it will be up by Friday. So I'm very, very excited for it, guys. I'm a little nervous, but I'm pretty excited for it. We have another comment from Dagon who says, I watch Impact every week anyway, so the crossover just makes it all more exciting for me as a viewer. See, I think everybody's viewing habits are just so different that it's, like I said, everybody likes different things. Henry M says, that's why I don't look at Twitter anymore. Don't need that negativity. Yeah, there's a lot of negativity on social media, but, that it is what it is, guys. Steve Wrestling Fan says, FTR can't wrestle a fast-paced match. That's just not their style. Yeah, it's just not their style. And I'm scrolling through your comments. We have another super chat from Matt Logan who says, Denise, AEW was very good, more angles set up, and we will talk about that because there are a lot of things that we need to talk about in terms of angles being set up. But there you go. That was the intro match that we have. I do agree that it was a very fun way to kick off the show, and like one of our viewers mentioned, just really set the tone for the show. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show that the most talked about thing from AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming last week was the return of Sting. And how could that not be it? My favorite thing about the fact that we had Sting return is that people were so excited about wrestling that night that everyone was tuning in to watch podcasts. Every single wrestling podcast, I can almost guarantee, had higher numbers than they normally do. And that makes me very excited. But seriously though, guys, We talked about the importance and the significance of Sting coming into AEW Dynamite and what a big deal this was. We talked about this heavily last week. And the major question was, how are they going to follow up with this? Now, you know that they're going to obviously keep the momentum high with Sting, but it is very, it is kind of, it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. So this week, what we got is a segment with Cody Rhodes and Sting, and this is what went down here tonight. And I want to make sure you guys send in all your thoughts on this so we can go ahead and talk about this. But it started off with Cody coming into the ring, and Tony Schiavone essentially asked him, what was your reaction to Sting's debut on AEW Dynamite? Before Cody could even answer, the lights went down and Sting came out. Sting essentially, he hadn't said a word yet that much, and so we finally get to actually hear like what is happening. So he gives Tony a hug and he gives him kudos for saying it's Sting, and he asked him to do it one more time. Cody tells Sting that he has been wanting to share the ring with him for quite a long time. But then Sting hits him with, I'm not here for you. And that is sort of planting the seeds where for sure, if you didn't know last week, for sure this week that something down the line is definitely going to go down with Sting and Cody Rhodes. Afterwards, Sting basically says that this place feels very familiar. It feels very familiar. And as he's doing this, he points up to the rafters or to the nosebleed seats and points up at Darby and essentially makes the nod that something feels familiar, by that it being Darby. After this, Sting says that he's in the jungle and that his wrestling career has become full circle because he is in TNT once again. Sting also says that nothing is for sure, but he does mention that he has signed with AEW, which we already knew. And he says that he plans to be close to the fans and to the promotion for a very long time. And just as Cody, is, starting to get warmed up to Sting, Sting essentially gives him a hug. You think they're like buddy, but then they're not, because then Sting gives him the whole see you around, kid. And it's not necessarily a very endearing see you around, kid. I read it more as like a, oh, we're going to circle back to this. Like, we're not friends here. Like, let's just make this a thing. What I liked about this is that this is obviously going to lead to a pairing of Darby and Sting. And this is going to be fantastic for Darby because he is going to get the rub from the icon Sting. And if you're going to get the rub from anybody, it might as well be Sting. My question is what is going to happen with Cody? How is Cody going to be involved with this down the line? Because he's going to be a part of this. But the other thing that we just don't know is Sting's limitations. What are his limitations? What can he do? What can he get away with in terms of his body and making sure that he's safe? We don't know that exactly yet, and we're going to see that play out in the coming weeks, months, years, whatever. But what did you all think about this segment? I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of your comments. And if there is a comment that I do not get to and you really want me to see it, feel very much welcome to send in a super chat, guys. All right, I'm scrolling through here, and Calso25 Aeon says, let a breath out that Sting was actually energetic because that's the Sting I grew up in. Dude, Sting is awesome, man. Like, energy all the time. And Joseph Moore says, Sting's angle tonight set up seeds for Cody's heel turn and a match between the two. Whereas Kenny's segment just repeated everything they said last night on Impact. Oh, we will get to that Kenny segment. Don't worry. For those of you who just tuned in, we are going chronologically here. And Ryan Tardif says, Sting felt like a blend of TNA and early WCW Sting, which makes some sense. But also, people always want 97 Sting. Chris Cage just says, it's Sting. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to yell up in everybody's ear. Wrestling Fandom says, Sting's interaction with Tony Schiavone was so awesome to watch, and that hug just delightful. Matthew Makovsky asks, Darby helped Sting win against Cody? ? Perhaps. Ricky Dona says, Darby Allin sitting in the rafters with the TNT Championship belt while Sting was on camera was a nice touch. Yeah, I agree. And let me see. I'm going through your comments. Okay. Henry M says, it's interesting how we know Cody loves Sting, yet they seem to have a conflict in ring. Cody heel turn incoming. I almost feel like this is how I'm reading the storyline between Cody and Sting. I'm reading it more as like Cody is, he didn't really get to say much, right? It was mainly Sting talking, but anytime you felt like Cody was trying to get on Sting's side, it kind of felt like Sting was like, I'm not even gonna like go near you yet right now. Like he said, I'm not here for you. So as of right now, Cody doesn't necessarily have Sting's interest. And that's sort of what I got from this whole segment here. And so it is going to be exciting to see how they eventually circle back to this, because like you said, they definitely planted seeds for sure. And Sean says that he also liked the Sting segment. Muhammad Abdal says, Cody is not fighting Sting yet. Sting doesn't have time for Cody. Not right now anyway. Yeah, I completely agree. And Patrick Della Pena says, Sting should do a cinematic match. That would be awesome. Well, considering that we mentioned the fact that Sting has limitations, again, we don't know how much he can do given his neck issues and all of that. I think a cinematic match would probably be the best way to sort of work around those things, work around the things that he can't do and, make it entertaining. And obviously cinematic matches is something that has blown up this year due to, essentially people having to get creative. And so I definitely think that a cinematic match would be really fun and a smart idea for them. Jobber JJ says, feed Denise with super chats. Yes, please do, guys. Feed me with those super chats. Nicholas Jackus says, Darby will have to choose between Sting and Cody. I see him taking the Sting bat and hitting Cody. And all right, I'm going through the rest of your comments. Devon Griffin says, Sting is not better than The Rock. Sting lost to Triple H, a man The Rock beat. Okay. All right. And anyone else? Okay. I like this, guys. Overall, I really like what they're doing. This was short and sweet and to the point. I thought that it made sense what they did, and they didn't overdo it. They didn't repeat anything that was already said like we did see later on the show. But that was pretty much that. After this, we did get to see a match between Varsity Blondes versus FTR. We did have FTR get the win. And then after this, they did have an eye-to-eye stare down with Jurassic Park. I'm sorry, Jurassic Express. I totally just said Jurassic Park. Please ignore that, ladies and gentlemen. I like that movie, so my brain just went there. But seriously, with Jurassic Express, so that is definitely a match that I would like to see, to be honest, because I love Jurassic Express. I think they are definitely one of the most fun things that they have on their roster. Alrighty, everyone, let's move on. So after this, we do have the announcement that Dark Order and Hangman Page versus Matt Hardy and Private Party next week. That will be happening there, so that should be a fun matchup as well. And Tony Del Monte says, Sting versus Omega, I would be interested in. I would be interested in too, but obviously we just don't know what Sting is capable of right now, in-ring wise, in action wise. We just don't know. So I like, if this was a return where he didn't have this, this injury, he didn't have this, thing that he was dealing with. Oh man, we would so be all like dream booking all of these matches. And now everyone's making fun of me at the fact that I said Jurassic Park. Wow, that's terribly embarrassing. Austin, New York 28 says, Denise, you're probably not the first person to call Jurassic Express Jurassic Park. God, I hope not. I feel like anyone who this is like their first time watching this show, and then they're like going to come in and see me and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she's so dumb. She called Jurassic Express Jurassic Park. Who is this girl even? That's probably what I would say. What is she doing? What is she doing on this show? Wrestling Fandom says, Hangman joining Dark Order even for one night is surely interesting. Yeah, it would probably be interesting. I agree. And I love Hangman Page, guys, and I've said this a million times on my streams here. But let's talk about this next match. So we had Dark Order number 10 versus Dustin Rhodes here today. I'll just be honest with you guys. Flat out, I really had no interest in this match whatsoever. And I will just say that I had no interest in watching this. And this whole segment really was not for me. If you like this, perfectly fine. It didn't do anything for me whatsoever. After the match, Dustin did win. And the Dark Order essentially want Dustin to join as number 7. So this was a throwback to the 7 character he did for one night on Nitro that standards and practices canceled because they deemed it inappropriate, because essentially the character was that he was abducting children. And so obviously you can't really have something like that on TV, right? So that got X'd out, but that was a little throwback to the character of 7, which a lot of people obviously loved, especially if, you know, they knew about it and they got the hint. This might have gone over a few people's heads, which could definitely also be considered too insider. But at the same time, at least, you know, it could be cool for fans that obviously got it. Ricky Dona agrees with me. He says it didn't do anything for me either. Yeah, I just got to say, I feel like, you know, one of the things that we talked about is that there are so many talents that don't necessarily get, you know, featured on AEW Dynamite that I personally think could be featured in this spot versus what we got. So, and that's not to take away anything from them. I just kind of feel like the direction could really be someplace else. High Priority says he didn't want that number. No, definitely not that number. So yeah, I definitely did not really care for this. The Raging Archer HD says, I was also so uninterested by it. I saw the match card and tabbed off to work on assignments. Hey, if you're gonna, you know, zone out on AEW Dynamite at some point, this was probably the point to do it. And I hate to say that, but it just wasn't good. It didn't really do anything for me, and I'm not interested in pursuing this any further whatsoever. And all right, guys, so let's talk about this segment, because this segment, I'll just say I didn't like it and I didn't love it. No, wait. Let me rephrase that. I didn't like it and I didn't love it. Did I say that right? All right, whatever. You all know what I'm trying to say about this. This is the Tony Schiavone, Brandi Road, Shaq segment that we had on the show. So essentially, they were all in a room, sitting down, doing what was an interview. Tony Schiavone in this big couch, Shaq and Brandi across from each other in this big couch. And basically, we have Shaq basically putting over Jade and talking about her and saying that, you know, finally announcing that, you know, they actually have some sort of past, some sort of, you know, friendship, whatever. He cares a lot about her. And he says that he doesn't appreciate, though, what Jade did to Brandi's arm. And they kind of seem to be on the same page. You know, Brandi agrees that, you know, this shouldn't have happened to her. Like, Jade should not have done that to her. And then Shaq says that he wants to see Jade versus Brandi. So we don't know how Shaq is essentially going to be involved in this. But before I get to that, Brandi is about to leave. She shakes everyone's hand. She's about to walk out of the room when Shaq gives her a pointer and tells her to essentially watch Jade so that she could learn a little bit more. So Brandi gets super pissed by this, takes poor Tony's drink and throws it into Shaq's face. And then Shaq just becomes a meme and is now a top wrestling meme out there. So that's what happened, guys, on this segment. And I don't know how you all felt about it. I had some maybe not so positive thoughts about this. So how I felt is that as much as I love Shaq and as much as I'm a fan of Shaq, the character, personally, I felt he came across as very dull during this. I thought that, and I know that's how he is. That's just how he talks. But for me, I felt it very boring. I thought that the delivery of how he spoke was so low that I could barely hear what he was saying. I had to rewind 3 times to hear what that line was that pissed off Brandi, because I didn't get what he said to her. I had to rewind and re-listen to it 3 times. And maybe that's my ears or whatever, but I just kind of felt like it was a little bit dull. It didn't come across to me as very exciting. The parts that definitely made it exciting was when Brandi essentially lost it, and before throwing the drink on him, she calls him an overgrown asshole. I thought that was a great line. If anything, I thought that Brandi really made this segment enjoyable. I thought she was really funny during this, especially with that line. And obviously, when Shaq made that funny face afterwards, everyone's gonna laugh at a funny face, at a funny meme. But other than that, this really didn't do much for me, guys. I'm not really interested in this. And I'm also curious as to what this is going to lead to. So by this, I mean, obviously, we're either going to get Jade versus Brandi, and this is going to be like Shaq on Jade's corner. Okay. Or we're going to get a mixed tag match with Jade, Shaq versus Brandi and Cody. So now Cody is, sort of, he's, he has that tease going on with Sting, but now he's also in this storyline as well. So that's my question. What is going to happen here? Where are they going with all of this? And personally, I'm not really feeling this one. But how did you all feel about this Shaq Brandi segment? I'm going to start off with Patrick Della Penna, who says, the segment was an absolute waste, and I hate to be so negative. I do too. I really hate to be negative, guys. I really do, because I know people feel very passionate about the product, and I know that sometimes people don't like to hear the negativity or criticism, so I try not to, but when something just does not, if I don't like something, I'm gonna say it. Tano says, I like that Shaq essentially acknowledged he isn't wrestling in the segment. It kind of felt like I didn't really feel like he said, I'm not officially doing it. It kind of felt like a tease. Nicholas Jacobs says, thank God the NBA will be back so we don't have to see Shaq anymore. Oof, I don't know about that. And Ricky Donna says, can AEW have a rule where anyone with the last name Rhodes Runnels should stay off camera? See, I don't think that, because I do think that Brandi does good. I think right now she's sort of been floundering in the sense that she's had so many different character arcs. She's had more character arcs than anybody on AEW. And the reason for that is I don't understand why they really broke her up as manager for Cody. I thought she was great with him. I thought she was fantastic. I thought they had great energy. And so now it's kind of like she's trying to find her place. And I really do think that her place, I thought she did the very best work she did was when she was with Cody as his manager. And I thought they obviously had way more chemistry than Cody and Arn. Henry M says, this is definitely leading to a mixed tag match, which would be a good way to hide Shaq's age and inability to wrestle. Yeah, but then that would also be Cody essentially carrying 3 people in this match. So I don't know how that would all work, but okay. Ryan Tardif says he didn't seem like he had any motivation. High Priority says, full meme potential on the last camera shot in Shaq though. Oh yeah, I already used it. There's already a meme up on my page. Jake Larson says, it was a bad segment. If they were going to have a TNT personality, should have been Barkley. Yeah, I see, and I get it. Shaq is a star. He obviously is. And I just wasn't feeling this one, guys. Joseph Moore says, I really hope Shaq will not be in a real match, maybe just a spot. Henry M says, Jade is awesome though, so I can't wait to see more of her. So far right now, they still got to do a little bit of work for me to be convinced. God, guys, it's so bougie. I'm so bougie. Matthew Makovsky. Oh, you are a creative one, Matthew. Matthew says, I want to see Shaq jump over Marco Studd. Dear Lord. My brain never went there, Matthew. I never once thought of this idea. I don't know if it would be a good idea or a really awful idea, but it is something that I think everybody listening to this show right now has absolutely envisioned in their minds. Dr. Frosty Bruce says, Shaq versus Brandi, book it, Con. Dear Lord, do not do that. Or I don't know, do it? Don't do it? I don't know what the rules are anymore. Wrestling Fandom says, you're not wrong and not the only one, Denise. Shaq was talking really slow. He needed to be a little louder, not feeling this storyline. Yeah, for me, if you're going to have a celebrity come in, they gotta connect with people. And obviously one of those people that, was a celebrity and really connected with people was definitely Pat McAfee. He's one of those people that really nailed it down. Even Rob Gronkowski, when he's himself, he's fun, but when he gets scripted, he's not fun. So I think maybe that's what we're seeing with Shaq. I don't know if maybe he feels like he's too scripted. I don't know. D-Train Riot Maker says, honestly, this whole angle could be dropped and I wouldn't be mad. Brandi isn't a great wrestler and Jade is training to be a wrestler, so I'm not interested. Julian, oh no, Julian. Julian says, Sting versus Shaq. Oh, no, I don't think I'd feel this one. I'm not interested. No buys. I'm out. Although, thank you for the creativity. Patrick Della Pena says, yes, solar energy and didn't put Jade over at all. Seems like they did it to pop a rating and wasn't very AEW to me. Oh, that's interesting. What do you mean by that? Like, not very AEW to me. You could probably send me another comment. If I see it, I'll go ahead and read that. We have a super chat from Matthew. Matthew, thank you so much. He says, Shaq versus Marco Stunt. Give me what I want. Oh my God. I don't even know what to make of this, guys. I don't know what to make of this because part of me thinks it's utterly ridiculous. And then the other part of me is like, screw it. It's ridiculous. Let's do it. So my two brains are fighting. My two sides of my brain are fighting with one another on this one. You guys are very creative. Okay. Scrolling through the rest of your comments here. And Muhammad Abdel says, Brandi really needs to be Cody's manager. She keeps trying to force something on the audience, and it's starting to get annoying, in my opinion. Daniela Love says she heard him clearly. And Ricky Dona says, I think I'd have to take a knee in order to swat Marco Stunt. LOL. Yeah. All right. That was pretty much that, guys. I'm not feeling this one. I think that they should definitely think it could be better. Okay, Patrick Della Pena explains his comment. He says, I guess just like I feel the focus on wrestlers more than outside celebrities, and I'd like to see Jade get the camera time she needs, reps on the mic. Here's the thing though, is that I'm not against celebrities in wrestling. I'm not against that whatsoever because, you know, it's gonna draw interest if someone's a big fan of a personality, a celebrity, and they're doing this wrestling show. You're gonna be like, oh man, that's pretty cool. I want to see this. Like when Stephen Amell did it. I was a fan of Arrow, so I was pretty excited at the fact that he was doing this, and I found it pretty quite entertaining. So I think that having a celebrity come in and do wrestling is not necessarily a bad thing because again, it gets, you never know. It might draw some eyes that don't normally watch. And it might be cool for people that are not only fans of wrestling, but also a fan of that person. But I just do think that when you do it, you got to do it right. We have a super chat from Dr. Frosty Brew. Thank you so much, Dr. Frosty Brew. He says, rumor is Tony Khan is bringing in Dennis Rodman versus RoboCop AEW rules. Oh my God, that is just wild. But thank you so much, Dr. Frosty Brew, seriously, for sending in this super chat. And Henry M says, yeah, the whole point is to pop a rating. They're bringing in a famous basketball player to get new eyes on the product. Might not be perfect, but it's a good idea. Yeah, see, that's the only reason why I'm not like, get this off my TV. This is awful. I don't want to see it. Whatever. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, guys, I am a fan of Shaq. I'm an LA girl, so I am a fan of Shaq. But I'm just not feeling it. And that's like the nicest way I can say it, guys. I don't want to say like, I hate this or anything like that. And then High Priority says, Stephen Amell can freaking go. Dude, I like Stephen Amell. He's a lot of fun. Paul S says, they should replace Shaq with Shaq Fu gimmick. Ricky Dona says, history has proven for decades that fans should never control what any television show, movie does, and that includes professional wrestling. It can't end good. Joseph Moore says, it's kind of crazy that AEW has temporarily poached Shaq and Snoop Dogg from WWE in 1 week. I know. When I saw them make that announcement, I was pretty interested there. It's gonna be pretty fun, especially because they are going head to head with New Year's Evil. Why is this something says you cannot kill David Arquette? Dude, David Arquette's a cool guy. Based on like the interactions that like I've seen him at like in live events, he's a cool dude. I got nothing against David Arquette. All right, guys. So we spent a lot of time talking about this whole situation with the Brandi Shaq thing. Let's talk about the inner circle. So the inner circle is a lot of fun. I got to say that they're a lot of fun. Tonight, MJF essentially addresses that he might be the issue as to why Inner Circle is falling apart. As we all know, they are not all on the same page. Says he reads the rumors online, but ignore those rumors because he joined Inner Circle because he thinks that they're the best faction and he wanted to be a part of them. Sammy is not having any of this, all right? Sammy is not, buying MJF, whatever he's saying, he is not buying it. And so they get, in each other's faces, but Ortiz is essentially the one that is the peacemaker, you can say, in all of this. And he just basically tells MJF that MJF is growing on him. He may be growing on him like fungus, but you know what? He's growing on him. He asked Sammy to shake MJF's hand. Sammy doesn't want to shake MJF's hand, but Ortiz tells him, shake his hand because we all know that you're the better man. So be the bigger, better man and shake his hand, which was obviously a backhanded compliment to MJF. Then Sammy essentially gets in everyone's face, including Jericho, and basically says, if anything else happens, I'm out. I'm done with the Inner Circle, and shakes MJF's hand. And just when you think all is fine and dandy in the world of the Inner Circle, it is not, because then Wardlow and Jake Hager go at it because one guy is staring at the other guy and he doesn't want him to stare at him and the other guy doesn't want him to stare at him. In the end, they all agree to be friends. What a story. What did you guys think of this segment? Personally, for me, before I start reading your guys' comments, is that I like the Inner Circle. And even if they do dumb, goofy stuff, it works for me. It works for me because, obviously, Jericho has a charisma that is unmatched to any other. And MJF is definitely up there in the sense of everything that he brings to the table. It's funny and it's fun to watch. Even if it's stupid, it's like stupid funny. And that's okay because some of us like stupid funny. I like stupid funny. So I didn't have a problem with this whatsoever. I thought this was pretty fun. This was a fun segment. And I'm excited to see, obviously we saw them later on in the show, but I am excited to see like what else they do next. And a high priority. Oh, I also want to say they've definitely set a standard in terms of the entertainment value that you expect from them every week. Like, I expect a brilliant, funny comedic segment with the Inner Circle. Obviously most with Jericho and MJF. But now they've really set the standard where you really expect that each and every single week. High Priority says, sorry, can go in the ring. His match at All In was great. Oh, okay, got it. In regards to Stephen Amell. Okay. Matthew Makovsky says, love the show. Also, can't wait for the new season. The Japanese people in the second movie is in it. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Matthew. Sorry. I got a little confused there. Okay. Jonathan Who Kills says, loving the Inner Circle drama. Great slow burn between Jericho and MJF. I think slow burn is definitely the right word to use here because they are, you don't know what's going to happen when this is eventually going to blow up in all their faces. We don't know. So it is this very nice, little tease with little, seeds being planted here and there. Julian Monhara says, Inner Circle needs to change their name. Why? What's wrong with Inner Circle? What did I miss? Did I miss something here? What did I miss? Someone explain to me. We have a super chat. Thank you so much, Patrick. Patrick sends in a super chat and it says, it's really entertaining for now, definitely. Once the story turns and the breakup comes, the long-term storytelling will make it all worth it. Oh, yeah. I completely agree. I think that, when all of this comes to fruition, it's going to be good. I don't think they're going to let us down on this because they've been really creative with this whole MJF Jericho situation. So I'm really liking what they're doing. The Raging Archer says, I completely lost it at Hager and Wardlow. Dude, they were pretty funny. It was like odd funny. I don't know what it was, but I thought this was the funniest that Hager has been thus far in like everything that they've done with the Inner Circle and even Wardlow. And you guys know I'm not the biggest Wardlow fan. You know what? Screw it. I liked Wardlow today. All right. He's on my good book, guys. He's getting on my nice list. I'm not going to say anything bad about Wardlow anymore. I take it all back. He was funny tonight. I hope Wardlow forgives me. Joseph Moore says, I love that every Jericho segment breaks the fourth wall and pokes fun at wrestling conventions, such as pointing out that he watched the video from last week. And then Austin NY28 says, I love the Inner Circle. I don't mind the Inner Circle doing silly stuff every once in a while. Feels like they do silly stuff all the time. Why is this something says, it felt less goofy than some other stuff they've done. That is a good thing. Capital G says, the Inner Circle is one of the best things that doesn't get enough love. Then Chris Jericho will do whatever he wants. Do you really think the Inner Circle doesn't get enough love? I feel like they do. I feel like people are always like laughing at whatever they say. And like the jokes really get over it. People really listen to, little lines that MJF throws in. Like when he was throwing in all those Drake lines, like people were loving that. Jake Larson says, you can tell Jericho has a lot of creative input in the storyline. Like him or not, he tells the best stories and builds character. 100%. You definitely know that. Kevin Yu says, I love the Inner Circle angle. I predict MJF makes the group turn on Sammy, creating a Sammy and MJF feud and match. I love how heated Sammy gets. Oh, he gets so heated. He gets so pissed. Like he's the only one that's like, I'm not buying this BS. And let's see, any other comments in regards to this? Guys, if I missed your comments, please feel free to send in a super chat if you want. Tanol says, I liked Ortiz's comment saying Sammy is better than MJF, and you know it. Yeah, that was a pretty funny one. I agree. Jake Larson says, I was at an indie show and Wardlow was getting paid to chop fans. It made me like him. Yeah, he's starting to get on my good list, guys. And Tony Del Monte says, Inner Circle needs a TV sitcom. Sitcom. Dang. I always say that word wrong, guys. Please ignore that. TV sitcom. Stats also being the lead. God. You know what? People think it's easy to talk for a whole hour. It's not. There is so much wrestling to talk about. Things get wild. All right. After this Inner Circle segment, we did see a match between the Butcher and the Blade. The Butcher, the Blade, Eddie Kingston versus the Lucha Bros and Lance Archer. We did see Butcher Blade Kingston win this. Personally, I didn't get into this match as much as I thought I would, and that's kind of wild for me considering that I'm a big fan of all of these guys, but this match just kind of felt a little disconnected for me. In the end, we did see Lance Archer had to get his heat back by attacking the Butcher and the Blade, so that is one of the things, guys, that like every single AEW match, I feel always happens afterwards. Like after the match, when it's over, I already know that it's not over. Somebody's going to run in. There's going to be some sort of brawl. Something's going to happen. Some sort of melee is going to go down. And then that is the end of this match. That is one thing that I would like to see a little less of in AEW, just because it does sort of feel a little bit too repetitive. Henry M says, Denise has spent 45 minutes on AEW. Looks like no NXT this week. No, I'm definitely going to talk about NXT. I will probably have to speed through it, but I will talk about it. I have terrible time management, clearly. And then we saw after Abaddon had her match, she with Price, she was attacked by, well, not attacked actually. So we saw Hikaru Shida come out, and she comes out with a kendo stick. She hits her with the kendo stick in the head, and it knocks her down, but it doesn't keep her down. She comes back up again, and essentially Hikaru Shida, leaves. She doesn't, want to confront Abaddon. I personally was not crazy about this because I kind of feel like, why is Hikaru Shida a babyface that is afraid? Nobody likes a babyface that is afraid. And that is definitely what we're seeing here with her. And so personally, I feel that everything that's been done with Hikaru Shida has just not been working. It's been like the polar opposite of what you want to see happen with Hikaru Shida. Ryan Tardif says, I don't know, when you hit someone in the head with a stick, that feels like an attack. Yes, but she didn't keep her down, though. That's what I meant. She attacked her, but she didn't keep her down, though. So personally, that's just my thought there. This honestly just did not do any favors for Hikaru Shida. At least it gave her some TV time. That's the plus. After this, this is a controversial segment, guys. This is a controversial segment where a lot of people did not like this segment. And it was the Kenny Omega, Don Callis, Tony Schiavone spiel that happened in the ring. So Kenny Omega showed up in a helicopter. Obviously a very, very fun entrance. Everybody liked it. But essentially, it was teased that he was going to make a big announcement. This is what was said on his promo for Impact, that he was going to have some stuff to say. Everybody was teasing it like, oh, he's going to have a big announcement. He's going to have a big announcement. I listened to this entire thing and did not hear an announcement whatsoever. So I personally felt that this was sort of pointless in the sense that, yes, this was a fantastic promo, but it was the exact same promo, or pretty much the exact same things that we heard on the Impact promo. So for those of you who did not watch the Impact promo, no worries, you watched it again tonight. And if you watched it yesterday, well, you know what? You watched it again today. There really wasn't anything that, we really got from this. The pros of this were Don Callis and Kenny Omega are bloody fantastic together. Oh my God, Don Callis, dude has so much charisma. It's insane. Whatever he's doing, everything he does, it's working, but we do need to see something new. I don't like the idea of teasing an announcement or teasing something big and then not essentially seeing it come true. The other thing that I want to say is that last week, everybody was so upset at Kenny because, the way he won. They even showed the shot of everybody pissed at him backstage as he, left the building. Yet no one this week at all came out to confront Kenny Omega. I did think that was another thing that wasn't necessarily that great. And I don't care about Jon Moxley not coming out. That's fine. Jon Moxley, it's fine. He's going to stay out. If he doesn't want to have to come out today, that's fine. They could save him for the following week. But why didn't Tony come out, or the Bucks, or just Cody, or somebody with authority to come out and basically say, hey, what you did last week was not cool, blah, blah, blah. So I do think that was one of the things that I wasn't really feeling this, in the sense that I think it could have been done differently and it should have felt like a bigger deal. And I do think that it felt like the helicopter was cool, but what happens after that, guys? What happens after that? Okay. Lame says, Denise has grown on me. Was skeptical at first, but she does these post-shows things very great. Thank you so much, Lame. I'm glad you think that I'm not lame. All right, great. Now I'm lame after that. Okay. What are you guys thinking in terms of everything that went down with Kenny Omega here tonight? I'm scrolling through your guys' comments because this thing is kind of complicated to read through everything, and I'm trying to find where you guys are saying about Kenny. Okay, here we go. Julian Monhara says, Kenny Omega is changing it up, and I respect that. Okay. Sir Don06 says, the first feud with a horror character shouldn't have the opponent be afraid. Oh, and this is in regards, obviously, to the Hikaru Shida situation. Dagon S. Broad says, the Kenny and Don Callis promo was only there for people that didn't watch Impact last night. Dagon, exactly my feelings. And that makes me so upset because obviously, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, all right, I'm ready. Like, what's the big announcement? This is going to give me something major to talk about on the show. And then we don't get it. Tano says, Don Callis just shows how he is great on the mic. Wrestling Fandom says, we need something new from Kenny and Don. That chopper entrance was cool, though. It's not even that we need something cool. I just think that if you're going to say you're going to make an announcement, make an announcement. Matthew Makovsky says, Ambrose from Tough Enough Season 1, bloody you are American. Luke is teaching you British grammar. Okay, you might have to remind me on what you meant by that one. I'm a little confused. And this is from High Priority. High Priority says, that line between being intrigued by this eventual long-term storyline and not delivering on the teases is really thin with this Kenny Callis thing. That is a strong opinion, and it's not one that I can necessarily say I disagree with. Yeah. Henry M says, that was a great Kenny segment. Glad to have the cleaner back. I mean, we already know that the Kenny segments are going to be good. He's a great promo. Kevin Yu says, I was listening to the promo and was like, did I miss the announcement? Why are they repeating the promo? I feel like Don Callis and Kenny Omega are teasing the announcement until a big blow off. That's kind of how I felt too. I kind of felt like I was missing something, or maybe I just didn't get what the big announcement was. Paul S says, I love seeing Omega and Callis doing promos together. Callis is great as a smug heel, and Omega comes across as completely delusional, buying the hype that Callis constantly supplies. They are coming across as larger than life, and that's what I personally really like about this Kenny Omega Don Callis duo. is that they feel grand. They feel like celebrities. Like I wouldn't be in the same room with them because I'm not cool enough, that sort of situation. So I do like their vibe and everything that they do. But obviously we were all just expecting a little bit more, but I am excited to see what they do down the line. And we have another comment from Kevin Yu who says, I think the goal of the promo was to create more questions than answers, hence the no announcement. There has to be an end game that is worth the teasing and the wait. Oh, man. I don't really... See, here's my thing. I don't like announcements to make announcements, to make announcements, to get to the announcement, to eventually get to the announcement. If that makes any sense at all, I'm not a fan of that. Nicholas Jackus says, these segments make it feel like Omega won a cruiserweight bout. There needs to be more heat to someone winning the company bout and then taking it to a rival show. It's a puff piece. Tony Del Monte says, I wish Kenny would invade one of WWE's shows. Oh, kind of like what they did last time. Al Cholo says, Denise works for the best two reporters, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzers, but I think, oh, I'm not going to read this. Oh, that's not very nice. Okay. Guys, please don't say anything bad about the people that I work with. Just FYI, guys, because I probably need to do a better job of scoping out your guys' comments, but obviously I read them as you guys point them out. So yeah, but anyways, High Priority says, kind of miss seeing the AAA Mega Champion bout. Would want to see both bouts on Kenny's shoulder, probably at Triple Mania. Gerardo Alvarez says, I feel like he's amping the heel cleaner gimmick that every fan wanted, and they're shoving our nose in it. Yeah, you're right, Gerardo. They are definitely shoving their nose in it. Completely makes sense. All right, guys, we have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to finish up AEW and then jump into NXT and kind of run that down. So MJF versus Orange Cassidy. How did you guys all feel about this one here? I personally thought this was a good matchup. I thought MJF looked great. Orange Cassidy, he has just gotten she's gotten over and over so many times. I like when Orange Cassidy did the Eddie spot. I thought that was pretty clever and fun. And we did see MJF win. Essentially, we had the best friends and inner circle on the outside of the ring, and this led to a lot of outside distractions. And there were several times where we thought that Orange Cassidy was going to win this match, but essentially he did not, because after best friends and inner circle started brawling outside, we saw Miro come out and he essentially took out Orange Cassidy, and that's how MJF got the win. So yeah. How did you guys all feel about this here? I'm scrolling through your comments, see what you all thought. And LW says, fantasy booking Ibushi being the final boss for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship bout, and Kenny can't beat him because he kicks out the one-winged angel. Only Ibushi can do that. Any thoughts on this Orange Cassidy situation? Okay, here we go. Paul S. says, Orange Cassidy seen through MJF's attempt at doing an Eddie Guerrero spot and beating him at his own game was great. Yeah, I thought that was really cool too. I really do. Tanel says, felt like Miro was the focus rather than MJF at the conclusion of the show. That's not too bad though. I think that we've definitely needed some major focus on Miro. Oh, okay. Joseph Moore says, I really enjoyed this match until Miro came out. He came out, he destroyed everybody, destroyed the production staff, threw one guy off the stage. I mean, it was wild. And then Henry M says, I want an overrun. There's no need to make this a 60-minute show. Let's go 90 minutes. I think I'm supposed to do like an hour and something. Like, I don't know. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts here? No? Okay. All right, guys. So there you go. That was essentially AEW Dynamite for today. Let's go ahead. BTW, before we hop into NXT, I am going to go through the major highlights of this, but I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to this channel, to the F4W Online YouTube channel. We are going up on those numbers. You guys definitely want to be a part of it, so please make sure to subscribe. Also, in the description box below, you will see links there. You guys can definitely follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. And you guys can also check out my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, where you guys can go ahead and I will be dropping an interview with Renee Paquette this Friday, hopefully, if all goes well. I will be dropping the interview on Friday, so please keep an eye out for that, because I'm still so thankful that she even said yes to me to do this interview. All right, guys, let's talk about NXT. So some of the major points that we want to get into for today is definitely the Finn Balor opening segment. So a lot kind of went down in this segment. So Pete Dunne came out and basically, so Finn Balor came out and then Pete Dunne came out right after that and said that the NXT title would be him. But then after that, Kyle O'Reilly came out. And just when you thought everybody had came out, Damian Priest came out. So everybody wants this title, obviously. And then Priest and Pete Dunne have a really nice exchange and at this point, these guys are all fighting amongst each other. So Finn Balor walks out, but he gets stopped and he basically says that at New Year's Eve, he would defend the title and says that it's Regal's job to pick an opponent. Personally, this segment felt a little bit off to me. I thought that they were doing a lot of good stuff on here, but in the end, it kind of just fell short. But the cool part was when Finn Balor gets surprised by Scarlett Bordeaux, who comes out and basically stares him down. And as she stares him down, he basically tells her, "I know what you're here for. You're going to say TikTok. Well, you know what? Tell your boy that when he's ready, Finn's ready." And then Damian Priest also says the same thing, basically telling Scarlett to, send a message to Kross. We have a super chat from Paul S. who says, "I've been enjoying MLW Fusion more than NXT lately." I think I need to watch more of MLW Fusion. I haven't been able to see as many shows as I would like to have seen. But thank you so much for sharing that fact. That's pretty good to know. And, okay. So after this, I think the good part of this opening segment really was the fact that this was a reminder at how many good potential matchups there are in the company with NXT especially. They are teasing so many good stuff here that I thought and even though the segment felt a little dry, I did think that the idea of all these potential matchups are the good stuff. We have a comment from Kevin Yu who says, "I hope Finn brings out the Demon King to wrestle Karrion Kross. This feels like a big match feel for the Demon King to make his return." Dagon S. Broad says, "NXT wasn't as bad this week, but I think AEW was still the better show overall." And let's see. Oh, we have some more people saying they really like MLW. That's good to know, honestly. Really, really good to know. And then Julian says, "I haven't watched NXT in so long." Give it a chance. You know what? They have some really great matches on there. Jake Larson says, "Kyle O'Reilly in the main title picture makes me happy. When he and Adam Cole were teaming in Ring of Honor, I always thought Kyle was a better wrestler, even though I knew Cole would be the bigger star." So there you go. That was the opening of NXT. After this, we did get a match with Jake Atlas versus Swerve Scott. Great speed from Jake Atlas in this match, guys. That was one of the major things that you noticed. The only thing that I didn't like about this is that commentary really makes it seem like Atlas just started coming in, like he just started with NXT like a month ago, and they keep saying that he's a guy who's still learning, and I kind of feel like they kind of need to drop that because it's making him look like a noob when he's really not a noob. He's been there for over a year. So I think at this point, and he's been wrestling each and every single week and having amazing matches with all of these different wrestlers. So I think they need to drop that whole he's new, he's learning sort of thing that they keep doing on commentary and just really give him a proper storyline and a proper build to actually start showing some of his personality. And Nicholas Jacket says, "I love the idea of a potential matchup between Karrion Kross and Damian Priest. They both are the future of WWE, and I see some great matches and feuds between the two." Yeah. And then, so after this, we did see that Ciampa cut a promo on Cameron Grimes. We did see a match with them later on. The match itself was fine. We had Ciampa winning and Thatcher watching on the outside. Not much to say. It was a decent match. And we did get to see some tag team actions. We saw a triple threat tag team match with Imperium versus Ever Rise versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, who, as you guys remember, just came back last week. We get to see a win for the Grizzled Young Veterans. This was a good, solid tag team match. We did get to see a lot of tag team wrestling in general from both shows here tonight, and this was one of the strong ones on the NXT end. After this, we did get to see a little bit between Toni Storm and Io Shirai. They ended up brawling in and outside of the ring, but then Ember Moon comes from behind and attacked Toni Storm. Io does the moonsault on Toni Storm inside the ring and almost goes for the pin until she realizes that this wasn't a match. But I love what they are doing with Toni Storm and Io Shirai. After this, we did get to see, this is the one thing I wasn't crazy about. So we got to see a promo from Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Austin Theory, and Indy Hartwell, where they all come out and they're, really pushing the fact that, they're their own little group, their own little stable now. And they're calling themselves The Way, or they're saying that they are The Way. This got annoying really fast, where I didn't care about, this is the way, this is the way. I was not feeling that. I had zero interest in this. Johnny Gargano gives Candice LeRae a trophy with a Shotzi Blackheart lookalike doll on the top. Says he imported it from Italy overnight, which is just not possible, by the way. But that's what he says. And then afterwards, that I just wasn't feeling this, guys. I wasn't feeling this. After this, Priest came out and congratulated both Johnny and Austin Theory. And so Damian Priest is about to he says that he's going to get the pipe and he's going to stick it up Austin Theory's butt right after revenge from what happened on NXT WarGames. But before he can get to any of that, he's attacked from behind by Karrion Kross. So Karrion Kross is back. Woohoo! Personally, I kind of felt that this felt a little cold. It didn't really have that big momentum feel, that big moments that you would feel when this guy came back. So I kind of felt like he was just thrown in there. I kind of thought that maybe actually promoting it would have felt a little bit better. But personally, I just thought that this felt a little bit weak. And I didn't think commentary sold it as much as they should have. They should have sold it a lot harder that he was back. But in the end, we did see Kross powerbomb Damian on the stage, but that was pretty much it. He rides off with Scarlett, and that was pretty much the end of that. Wrestling Fandom says Austin and Indy, as the adopted kids of Johnny and Candice, are so great. I like the name The Way. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I just kind of I was not feeling it as much. Jake Larson says, I wish they would show Austin Theory the way out of this storyline. Oh, God. Yeah. Dagan S. Breed says, at least we got the return of Karrion Kross. Yeah, I'm happy to see him back. I just wish that it would have felt more momentous. Chris Cage 2X says, LOL, get the pipe and stick it. Yeah, seriously. Joseph Moore says, the women's division on NXT has been the best thing on the show for years. Only reason I still barely follow the show since AEW began. The NXT women's division, in my opinion, is the best women's division that there is right now. It's fantastic. Shut Your Mouth has an interesting comment. He says, NXT commentary is trash now. Mara leaving was a huge blow. Wouldn't say that it's trash because I think it's pretty okay, but I do think that Morrow leaving is a huge blow, and I really missed him at NXT WarGames. There were a lot of moments where I thought he could have really elevated a lot of things that we saw. One of them was when Adam Cole put Pat McAfee through the table at WarGames. I didn't feel that commentary sold that whatsoever, and it kind of really irked me. I was like, why are you not selling this? Like, the guy that everyone's been hating on got thrown to a table. You'd think you'd make a big deal about it, but then they didn't. Tony Del Monte says, heading out here. Please tell Alvarez and Meltzer I said hi. Excellent stream tonight. Thank you so much, Tony, for tuning into this stream. You're awesome. All right. And so, after all of this Johnny Gargano, Karrion Kross situation, we find out that next week we are going to be seeing Leon Ruff and Kushida team up, and they're going to go up against Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory. I'm looking forward to this. This is the first time that we're going to see Gargano and Kushida go at it, so that should be really fun. And I hope that this will eventually become an actual storyline for Kushida, and, something that doesn't necessarily include the Velveteen Dream. A separate storyline from all of that. And the end, we saw, we still have two more matches. This match was really good. Pete Dunne versus Killian Dane. This was a really good match. And what I liked about this is that it really established the fact that Pete Dunne, essentially, they wanted to get over the point that he could beat a big guy. Yeah, Pete Dunne is a small guy, but he can beat a big guy like Killian Dane. And I think that was the point that they wanted to get across in this match. And I also like the fact that when Pete Dunne is in the ring, there is absolutely no wasted motion in him. Everything that he does, whether it's stepping on someone's hands or kicking someone in the face, everything that he does is for a reason. And that's one of the things that I think really makes him an entertaining person to watch wrestle. So a big fan of Pete Dunne there. In the end, we did see Pete Dunne beat Killian Dane with the bitter end, and now he's just going to look like an even more credible opponent for Finn Balor. Lastly, we did get to see a main event match between Ember Moon versus Raquel, with Raquel winning. And one of the good things about this is that, dude, Raquel, she has been booked so well. I mean, she won the NXT WarGames match by powerbombing Io Shirai through a ladder in between two rings and getting the pin on the NXT Women's Champion. That is kind of a big deal. And so I love what they're doing with Raquel and how they're building her up. And I didn't expect for it to go so well as it has been. But there you guys go. That is your AEW NXT recap. I'm going to read your final comments here. And if there was any comment that I didn't read, go ahead and send it in, because this is definitely the time to get it in here. Pete Dunne says, Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is not on this stream. Joseph Moore says, Pete Dunne could believably beat anybody. Hell yeah, he can. Hell yeah. Dagon S. Brad says, Kushida versus Johnny Gargano could be an insane match. Dude, yes. Are you kidding me? Like, Kushida is like the best worker that they definitely have on there, or you can arguably say one of the best. So I do agree with you, and that would be an awesome match. Shut Your Mouth says, it feels Bush League without Morrow and the heavy hitters. There should be more main roster guys on the show. NXT had so much momentum last year. Now it's blatantly weak in comparison to AEW. I do think that, and we've talked about this before, NXT unfortunately got hit with the injury bug. You know, we saw a lot of things happen. A lot of people get injured. We saw belts being, vacated and tossed around and all of this stuff, right? And that's unfortunate because, when they could do their takeover shows are fantastic. So it's kind of like you want to see a little bit more of that on their every week shows. And so hopefully we're getting there in that direction, especially now with the return of Finn Balor, the return of Kross. So hopefully now with two guys like that, you can definitely start to get the ball rolling. And okay, anybody else here? I'm trying to make sure I get through some of your guys' comments. And I'm also trying to make sure I get people that I haven't read their comments, because I want to make sure you guys feel like you're part of this stream and whatnot. And okay, Matthew Makovsky says, Dunne versus Balor injected into my veins right now. God almighty, it's gonna fucking rock. Yeah, I agree, and I think you probably said it better than I could possibly say it. And then Matthew McCoskey also says, how interesting. Balor took several months to return. Kross returned in 4 months. Dude, guys do different stuff. Heal different ways. I don't know what they do. I've never been injured my entire life, so I wouldn't know what feedback to give you on that one. But I appreciate your comment. Dagon S. Broad, who says, thanks, Denise. Love this show. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. I know we went a little extra longer today, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it overall, just kind of breaking down both shows. And I am excited to see you guys back here next week. If you are watching the replay of this, please make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the F4W channel, and just really help us grow. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to hit me up on Twitter or on Instagram @ Denise Salcedo, and follow me on youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Again, I'm going to have my interview with Renee Paquette up this week, hopefully on Friday. Keep an eye out on Twitter, because I will be making an announcement on there. Now, I am done talking, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Love you all. Take care, everyone. Bye.